morning. This is Morning Express, 6:40 a.m. on the 17th day of February 2014. We're glad you're watching. Let's get to our press review this morning. We begin with the Standard newspaper, Kenya's bold paper, and the headline today: top jobs that hurt careers. And they are among the most powerful and coveted public offices in Kenya, with hefty salaries and allowances. But being appointed chief executive of CBK, NSSF, EACC and NHIF has turned out to be the beginning of personal torture for those lucky to get the job. It's a story that has details on page 4. And the headline pictures there, we have Professor Njogona Ndongo, Central Bank Governor, is in trouble over award of the 1.2 billion security software tender. Dr. Andrew Mulay, his forced exit from CBK links to his closure of Charterhouse Bank. Nahashon Nyaga left CBK under the cloud of multi-billion euro bank scandal, and others. And you can read more on the Standard today. Also on the front page, governors to meet over fresh threats by senators. Governors will hold a crisis meeting tomorrow to discuss the shock impeachment of their colleague and the Senate summonses to 9 other county bosses. And remember, we are engaging you on that. Do you think those governors should honor the summonses issued by the Senate Committee on Finance? Also inside other stories, let's get to page 2. Inside the Standard today, one of the stories here: crisis meeting to discuss Wambora ouster and the other summonses. Governor planned retreat over onslaught by the Senate. We did hear the chair of the Council of Governors, Ruto, talk about this being unconstitutional. He said that in fact they would be opposed and are set to move to court today to seek interpretation on the mandate of the Senate and whether the whole procedure was conducted lawfully. Page 3, secret text message to governor wins a needy child, a boy that is, full scholarship. So you have here, in a moment of desperation, a 13-year-old wrote Dr. Cleophas Lagat an SOS, and the governor did not disappoint. So he scored an impressive 398 marks in last year's Kenya Certificate of Primary Education. He was admitted to Lenana School in Nairobi, but Collins Kiprono Bor, who's 13 years old, was perhaps the saddest boy in the entire Nandi County. And read more about his inspirational story on page 3, where there's also a report on MP wants state to pay exam fees for candidates. That story that is highlighted on the front page of the Standard continues on page 4, when high-profile jobs have attracted wrong kind of fortune and killed careers. So the list of top civil servants who have seen their careers muddied by offices they hold is growing. And some would argue that, of course, that comes with a high level of accountability required in such offices. And then there are those who would say a lot of politics when one decides to do or ruffle feathers of the who's who. It becomes a problem. But a story comprehensively covered for you in the Standard today. Ruto is warning corrupt public officers on page 5. The deputy president is telling government officers that stern action would be taken against those found guilty. And this coming at a time when there are so many cases of corruption, the tendering sagas from the standard gauge railway to the laptops and others. And the tough talk continues from the government. We've had the president in the past talk about that, and now the deputy president as well. The ODM elections are on page 6 in the Standard. ODM convenes meeting to stem discord ahead of polls. Also here we see Zani gets backing from Rift delegates, that's Rift Valley. And Ababu Ongoro promised changes if elected. All that in the coverage of the ODM elections expected to take place on the 28th of this month. MCS support Mungaro on Coast Party is also a story on the same page. IMF wants taxmen to shelve planned split on page 7. Phased approach that would not adversely affect revenue or trade flows would be appropriate. That is what a report is saying. So Kenya has been asked to shelve plans to split the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, into 2 semi-autonomous entities. the Domestic or Inland Tax Agency and the Customs and Border Control Agency. The International Monetary Fund wrote a report to Kerry last year opposing any such plans. Back page, that's fever pitch in the Standard today. AFC Mall Defense. It's all in your sports coverage today. Leopards as well strike twice, advance in CAF tournament. And inside the fever pitch, we have Moses Mukono finally makes Kenya team in cross country, and Kenya, Senegal, and Tunisia secure wins in volleyball World Cup qualifiers. Inside the Standard in today, extra pullout focuses on an unholy war. Central African Republic's Muslims flee capital. Read about that on pages 2 and 4 inside Extra. Pill that makes surgery easier. Which pill is that, and how does it make surgery easier? Find out on page 6. And also inside you'll find a pictorial, pictures that tell a story. Which story is that? On page 5, and how mothers show their concern, amongst other stories in today's Extra. And the magazine and pull-out that takes you through your Monday blues, the crazy Monday. Today, mysterious undergarment is the headline. Weird puzzle, that is the underwear. Page 8 and 9 has more details on Crazy Monday. Oyunga Pala, Market Nairobi traffic jam of tourist attraction is another one inside, as well as clergy's wife, daughter caught night running at a school. And the First Lady's Marathon is also covered inside the Crazy Monday, as well as Africa and the politics of dress. All that and more, all inside the Crazy Monday. This Extra inside the Standard newspaper today. The Daily Nation today leads with Uhuru is top earner in new pay structure. And winners, more powers given to Auditor General. Finance Principal Secretary ranked higher than peers. Losers, elective posts locked out of pay raises, MCA's lowest paid. We will only recommend salary increments once the current wage bill returns to normalcy. Those are the words of SRC Chair Sarah Sarem. The headline picture in The Nation, ODM elections, Zani campaigns in Rift Valley as race for top party position gathers space. And also on the front page, Graft team is quote-unquote probing all 47 governors. Problems for governors intensified yesterday after the anti-corruption watchdog said it was investigating corruption claims in all the 47 counties. Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission spokesman Yasin Amaro said his team had received complaints related to procurement and irregular hiring of staff. Page 3, Machakos Park draws hundreds of visitors, and Mutua says the county project is going to earn 100 million shillings annually from grounds. So the destination of choice, this is the type of venture I will encourage any governor to go for. Security is paramount and people feel more secure with such apparatus in place. Those are the words of Directorate of Criminal Investigations boss Francis Ndegwa Muhoro. Trouble awaits more governors as EACC launches the graft probe. Also on page 5, Raila to meet leaders of polls, those ODM polls that are coming up later on this month. Namwamba and Zani supporters in war of words ahead of the ODM elections. Also on that page, Wiper Party members call for fair poll. They're urging its leaders to ensure briefcase delegates are not involved. And we won't relent on graft wars, says Ruto. Plan to power schools for laptops is covered on page 6 in The Nation. More than 3,000 teachers trained to instruct others in counties. That is what members of parliament have been told. More than 4,000 primary schools will be supplied with electricity before June, and that is to ensure they implement the free laptops project. With ease, verify exam listing data. Candidates have been told also on page 6, and candidates set to sit this year's national exams have been asked to be extra careful when submitting registration details, as no changes will be made after the deadline. It's an interesting story here on page 9. Drones to join anti-poaching war in the Nation, KWS plans to use low-cost aircraft to track and monitor the movement of animals in its parks. Read more on that page. Back page, Kenya faces shortage of 10 million bags of maize. So country has enough food to last up to May, says Cabinet Secretary Koskei. And the picture there on the back page of the Daily Nation. Porn baby locked up in rent row. Miss Monica Mwangi with her 6-month-old baby emerged from a building in Nakuru town where she had been locked up at the weekend for more than 20 hours due to a rent dispute involving her sister, Miss Nancy Mwangi, and her landlord. Let's move on to the Star newspaper, and the headline, Jubilee wants 9 governors out. Those are the words of Ruto. Details are on page 6. We'll have a look at those in a short while. But the headline picture in the Star today, 2 Kino touts abducted, murdered. As well, a friend of Geoffrey Ngugi Menti and James Muteti displays a T-shirt with their images yesterday. Also on the front page of the Star, MPs warn ministry not to award laptops deal. The National Assembly's Education Committee has threatened stern action against the Ministry of Education should it sign tender documents to allow Indian firm Olive Technologies to supply laptops for schools. Page 2 in the Star, Ruto case resumes with witness Hitch that continues today at The Hague. So the ICC trial against Deputy President William Ruto and of course Joshua Sang as well is scheduled to resume today at The Hague with a statement of another witness. However, the trial continues with the unresolved issue of witnesses who refuse to testify. And we heard from the Attorney General saying that the Kenyan government would not compel any of the witnesses who had decided not to testify to do so. Embu leaders tell new governor to step down. Page 3 in the Star. Embu Governor Dorothy Nditi is under pressure to resign and allow a person from Embu community to take the seat. And this is being said because of the regional power balance that those calling for her stepping down argue is required. Court dismisses case against Polytechnic on page 4. We have a Nairobi court here has dismissed an application against Kenya Polytechnic University College, and the institution has allegedly failed to implement a sexual harassment policy as required by law to protect female staff. That among other stories on that page. CBK governor questioned software tender legality. Page 7 has that. Central Bank Governor Jogona Ndongo questioned the legality of the process that led to the awarding of a tender at the center of his pending prosecution. Of course, he did move to court to bar his arrest that had been directed by the Director of Public Prosecution. Let's move on now to the People newspaper, and today the People leads with succession race behind ODM wars, strategizing the bid to succeed Raila, and the party prompts an all-out war that is pitting young Turks who are looking beyond 2017 and the old guard who feel he still has pep and gusto to run the party. We have Dalma Sotieno here. If ODM stood for democracy, then there wouldn't have been any candidate favored by the party leader for any of the seats up for grabs. Kidero, I plead with Mr. Odinga to defer the elections to a later date and embark on the process to unite the party before conducting the exercise. He says, Ababu Namwamba, we do not want nominations, we want elections. This is just a practice match. We are all players in the same team. Let's look for the best. And party leader Raila Odinga, I wish to reaffirm that the party will hold its elections on February 28th, 2014, as earlier announced. Those vying for various positions should ignore rumors. Also, the front page of the People, China stars Kenya's coffee industry. And Governors Nderitu Gachagua and Okoth Obado of Nyeri and Migori counties respectively spearhead a bitter war of attrition aimed at securing coffee farmers from the grip of multinationals, mainly from the West, as China and Arab countries arrive for a share of the pie, with Nyeri and Migori as their first stop. And also inside the People today, Ingwe Kogalo into CAF first round. Wanga returns to inspire Leopards as Gora survived Britain scare to qualify. That's on page 55. And on page 46, stamp of authority. Balala farms cancelled mining licenses won't be revoked.